Hey everyone, it is that time again when a new set is about to be released and we make up some decks that we can jump in and test with and, make them better, right? Just bear in mind, these are preliminary deck lists. These aren't perfected decks. That's when you guys come in. This is just a jump start for you guys. Try and get going with the new set. And then when English comes around, we have much more updated sets that you can work with. So with that, let's just jump into it. There are 11 decks today. I don't want to, waffle on too much, but there's probably going to be some explain to do. First off, we got the new Shoujo Doji ride line. And this guy is all about binding your opponent's cards for temporary advantage and then converting that, hopefully, into permanent advantage. As well as binding your own cards and then calling stuff out from the bind zone to get multiple attacks, right? So that's basically it. Let's just quickly talk about it. This grade 3, right? You put 2 of your cards into soul into bind zone, and then you choose 2 of your opponent's units and then bind those cards, and at the end of turn, they get them back into your hand. Not that cool. And the second effect is that when you attack, you can counterblast 1 and put 2 of your regards into your soul, and then pick 1 card in your bind zone with stealth in its name, call out, and it gets like pretty much tanked. So what you want to do is you want to call out good cards from your bind zone, and then put cards that can kind of, the cards will go into soul first when it attacks, and then in the next turn you can put those cards into the bind zone, and pretty much that, right? And then there are some cards that gain advantage when they come out from the bind zone. So like this grade 3, when it comes out from the bind zone, you can soul blast 1 and draw a card, and also get some power. And then this grade 2 as well, it gets power when it comes out from the bind zone, but when it attacks, you can pick a card from your opponent's bind zone and then bottom deck it. So you convert that temporary. It's not really even temporary advantage. You just convert those cards into a permanent minus for your opponent. So that's pretty cool, right? So that's pretty cool. One thing to know is that your ride line, so your grade 2 and your grade 1, they have effects in the bind zone, which is pretty much just like soul blast 1, right? And then you can call them out from the bind zone onto the rear guard circle. So it's cool. Cool. You get to have some plus, right? And then in regards to how the bind zone is going to work, since you put 2 cards into the bind zone and only call 1 out, that means your bind zone will start building up. So ideally, you want to build these ride line guys up at some point, call them out in one of the turns, and then start building up that bind zone again. It's like a weird cycle, right? A weird cycle. There's also a grade 1. This one, when it's played from hand onto the rear guard circle, you can counterblast 1 and then pick one of your opponent's bind zone cards and bottom deck it. So again, you're converting that into a permanent advantage. And then yeah, that's nice. You can call another card from your bind zone as well, just call it to the rear guard circle as well. So kind of similar to your Vanguard, but you just do it pretty much in the main phase, because there's not really a way to call out from hand, right? So just kind of to set up your board, right? You can just set up your board. So that's pretty much it. We also run the Grail piece, the Regalia, the Persona Rite Order. This is pretty much run in every single deck because you're all grade 3 decks here. Funnily enough, the other stealth cards are the Togashi Rashi way back. Remember this guy? Just to build some more soul, and then Madoka is another, stealth card, which is great. Synergizes well with the old the stealth searcher that helps you kind of compress, builds up soul, and then you can trigger more, which is good, right? Next deck we have is one of the older decks that got updated. It is Tamayura. This one's kind of weird, I have to say. Really weird building it because you're very inclined to just put in the new Tamayura pieces. Well, not the Tamayura pieces, the new Rarami and Rirumi pieces, and that just kind of clogs your entire board, right? But you want to, right? Because they're named cards. You have some new orders. Now, this is probably where the big changes are going to be, right? This old Blitz order, I feel like, is not that required anymore. I still put 2 in, but I feel like you can kind of cut it to 1 or even 0. The new order for this, this one just pretty much calls a Rirumi and a Rarami, so you just make a field like that. Easy for Soul Blast 2. And then you still want the PR order because it kind of sets everything up and gives you a plus. So this order lineup is will be changed. I think that's the key part about this deck. I also know some of the decks like to run extra front triggers over crits. It's up to you, right? Trigger lineup is pretty much up to you. But yeah, the order lineup will be changed. It's kind of weird though, because you run a lot of normal orders, especially the Grail as well. So you need a good time to play them, right? You need to decide, do I need a Grail this turn, or do I need to get cards, or do you need to set up soul? It's a bit iffy. Also, yeah, there's clearly a conflict between these blitz orders and your sanctitude. So yeah, that's pretty much the big things going on with this deck, right? Next we have is Lukia. Luquier, kind of, a lot of these decks are pretty simple to build in a way. They kind of build themselves because you just put in all the encounter cards. The things that aren't encounter cards here is this. She counter charges. So very important. Very important. It has to be. It's when you call it out to the regard circle by an ability, from soul by an ability, right? You can soul blast one and counter charge. So that just solves every single problem, right? It just solves every single problem. I don't think there's much to talk about for this deck. Your Lukia puts back 2 cards, right? At the end of turn to draw 1. So you kind of keep on shuffling the good cards that you want to call out. And then this grade 1 is ideally you want to call this guy out every turn. So you can give your front row extra 5k, right? That's good. And then with this cat, right? It's like Falcate, right? Mr. Falcate here. You can just kind of keep it on the field and every turn generate like an extra soul. So I think that's pretty cool. I think that's pretty nice. And then just make sure to play the order every turn so you can kind of do even more multi-attack. And yeah, again, the Persona Ride Grail. Next we have is Kheios. Kheios is really messy, as you can see. Yeah, this is a lot of one-offs, right? The most important cards in this deck is you run the new Mikami, and that will allow you to get out the grade 3 Mikami. Very cool. It also counts as like a different name in your soul. So yeah, like your deck is built. Your deck is legitimately just built like that. Put in 1 of every single perfect guard you have. There's exactly 3 and a sanctitude. So that's perfect. There's also enough heals to go around. The draws, maybe not so much. And then just put in whatever crits you want. As you can see, this is all jank. Then just put in 1 card of anything that's good. It's literally high. Just do that, and that's the deck. You can, if there are really good cards, you can definitely put in more than 1 copy. And I think you won't miss it, because with this, it's just so easy to kind of build it. With the orders, though, the order is actually important. So the new order that got released, this pretty much just builds your soul for free, right? It's free, and then it builds your soul. Right? Put 3 cards from your drop zone into soul. Oh, this card goes to the bottom deck. So you deck out that. Yeah. Also gives you Vanguard 10k, right? But then the PR order is also very important. This will at least give you a card onto the field, give you a Mikani, right? Which will just help your gameplay. So this guy is also very important. One's good for setup, one's just good for just normal play. Yeah, that's pretty much that. Next we have is Minerva. So Minerva is a bit strange. The one thing I've put in was just more drilling angels, so you can put in more copies of the important cards of your witches, right line. These guys can kind of just come out for multi-attacks. And then this order amount, I'm not sure how I will build this. This probably will change, but overall it's nice, right? CB1, okay, CB1. But you can draw 2 cards and then call 2 cards onto the field. So that's cool, right? That's cool. You're gonna call 2 cards anyway. You might as well just draw 2 cards from that. You might deck out, might be counterblast, might be a bit heavy. That's just one of the things, I guess. The counterblast might be a bit heavy. Gotta be careful. Just with Minerva's cost though, it does require you to discard a Genesis card only. You can't discard non-Genesis cards. So you have to be careful what you put in the deck, which might limit what you what you can really do, because this deck is kind of counterblast heavy. Like your Camomiles require counterblast to be called. So yeah, you have to be a bit careful there. You have to be a bit careful. But apart from that, I think everyone's gonna hype on this quite heavily, and probably we'll probably still see some change, right? Next is Thegrea. Thegrea is weird. Thegrea is the only deck as well that is not running the new Grail order, because if you play it, you probably lost the game anyway, right? You want to keep on rewriting the other Thegrea. The new part about this deck is that you do have this order that helps you fix issues. One of the biggest problems with Thegrea was that the deck was too slow, right? Because you ride to grade 3 and do a turn of nothing, right? You do half a thing, right? This lets you kind of reset into the go straight into the other Thegrea, which means that you can kind of just pop off immediately, albeit without the Persona ride, right? So yeah, that's nice. The problem though, the problem though is that you have to draw the other Thegrea, and then you also have to draw the order, and the order doesn't have Thegrea in its name, as far as I know. There's no Thegrea there, right? So it's not easy to grab. So you have to hard mulligan into this, and then hopefully draw into the other Thegrea, and then you're good to go. You're good to pop off. Also interesting enough, these Momoke, not these Momoke, these Maples, right? This one cares if you have the other Maple, and then she doesn't care if you have. She only cares about herself. So yeah, get rid of this Maple every turn. This Maple always gets rid of herself as well. So that's nice. And then the rest of the deck, you just run. I just ran 3 of this guy because he's cool. Less Drilling Angels because you don't really need that many anymore. I think you just if you get a couple, if you hit this a couple of times, you're already good. And then running some of the Youth Bag Angel, just because you discard with this deck, so you might as well get some value for it, get a 10k booster, and then you can also move it up later for a 10k beta. That's nice. Also running 2 of the PR Thegrea. It's kind of good. It's kind of good. I think it's searchable, so you can generally get it, and then you start getting 15k Persona rides and your Persona ride. That's kind of nice. It's kind of nice. Next we have is Gramgrace. So Gramgrace is a bit scuffed, right? What do you put it in because hey, it's out in D-Days. I run the Blaster ride line just because Gramgrace doesn't have a ride line yet. So yeah, run the Blaster one. It works pretty well. Pulls a free card. Very cool. Also, the rest of the deck is just beating people up, hitting big numbers, right? Gramgrace's special skill is that that allows your back row to also gain the effects of Persona Ride, so it gets 10k. So you want a full field every turn, you want a Persona Ride every turn just to win, right? You do need 4 of this PR that is coming out in, I think, monthly Bushi. Very, very important, right? So this one is on the back row center slot. If your opponent is grade 3, when attacks, you can Soul Blast 1 and then discard a card from hand. And then your Gramgrace gets also 10k and an extra drive. So that's pretty threatening. That's pretty scary. So very, very cool. But then the rest of the deck, you look at this guy, it's Youthberg. He's back. Protofall. Why is he played? Well, he is 18k. So that's good. And then if you put this grade 2 behind that hits 18k. 28k, sorry. Maths. This card just requires a grade 3 in Soul. And once you do, this unit gets boost and 5k. So actually, no, it hits better than 20k. It's 33k. My bad. Yeah. But yeah, so just boost there, and then you can have the Bedivere K column that makes a column. So that's cool. And then once you have that full field, slam and jam, full field, max power, win. Very nice. Very cool, right? Next that we have is Maelstrom. So Maelstrom is kind of... I actually like Maelstrom. I like Maelstrom quite a lot. It's like a more consistent version of Flagberg, I think. So that's very, very cool. You have this order that allows you... That's pretty crap, I think, alright? You can call an Aquaforce card or a Tear Dragon from your drop zone onto the field. And then you can give something like plus 5k for each of this order in your order zone. Right? So this is on play. So, yeah, you can hit big, which is nice. It's nice. Your Maelstrom also gives one of your cards like first battle counterblast 1 restand. That's very cool. And then you have a Tidal Assault as well that is also pretty much a second battle CB1 restand. So you can easily hit like 5 attacks a turn, right? But even maybe more with Wheel Assault, right? You can hit a lot of attacks. Pretty much that, right? Wheel Assault still does the same thing, except as a cost, Soul Blast 1, just to swap 2 cards around, which is cool. Luckily, Inlet Pulse is a Tear Dragon, also solves your Soul issue, so it's nice. Extra card drawing is very, very cool. And then also we run Prize Trident. I run 4 Prize Trident simply because it's not grabbable, right? You can't grab it from the drop zone. You just have to naturally draw it. None of your top X searches for Prize Trident, so you just have to naturally draw it. The deck is a bit CB heavy. It is kind of using like 2 CB a turn, so you do want the Prize Trident to kind of increase soul and counter charge, right? Otherwise, yeah, the rest of it is just pretty straightforward. Here we have Rorowa. With Rorowa, I'm still not sure on how to exactly build it. It's a bit scary. We did get a new card, this new weird dragon. Pretty much at the end of turn, if your Vanguard is glitter, you can put it into soul, and then you can call 2 plant tokens, which is nice. But it solves, again, it helps solve the issue of Rorowa where everything requires soul, right? Everything requires soul. It's a bit rough, right? And nothing uses CB. So we're still running Inlet Pulse, because guess why? It increases soul, it draws a card. And you do need those extra draws because you have this new Ratalina now that pretty much says that, you know, in hand, if after your Ratalina attacks and your opponent's grade 3, you pretty much sacrifice the Ratalina and the Momoke token, and then you call it out, so you get a 5th attack, right? You get a 5th attack. So that's nice. That's nice. But you have to get it. You have to get the card. So that's why, again, Inlet Pulse is good, right? Because it draws your card. You did get this new order, and this order is pretty cracked. Problem is, you have to use a soul, so it's a bit heavy. But basically, what you do is you can call a card from the drop zone that's like that's equal to or less than your grade. And then if you have a Ratalina on your Regard, you can call a plant token to a Regard. So it's like, you could say it's better than Spiritual Body Condensation, but you need soul. And then we do run this one order for the PR order, CB1. You have to retire one of the Regards, but then it kind of buffs your plant tokens, and it lets you search for Ratalina, which is very, very important. Very, very important. So it can kind of get you the one that you need. Also, just put in this old card here, this old grade 1, just because it's a CB outlet and can let you draw cards. That's nice, right? That's nice. Moving on, we have Arkhite. This is the new kind of research deck. It runs research, but it uses a different. This is a Kaiju deck, all right? This is the Kaiju deck. What we have to do here is pretty much maxed out all the Kaijus, because what Arkhite does is she pretty much looks at top 7 and then grabs a Kaiju card and then calls it. And that's how you multi-attack with the deck. So you want to make sure you're running a lot of Kaiju so you never miss. Her other effect is also that if you have like three research cards in your order zone, you may put one of your Regards into the order zone. So that kind of fuels the Kaiju effect, because then she has effects where like you put a copy of this, you put the same copy of the Kaiju in like your order zone to the bottom of the deck to buff up other Kaijus and give them more power, right? So that's kind of cool. In regards to the research orders that you want to run, you do get 4 new research orders that specifically for her, right? So this one is just the Kaiju research order. Basically, every turn you can like rest it and then put a Kaiju from your drop zone into the order zone, and that'll again help you fuel the power gains and extra power gains. Also on place, you can look at the top 5 cards and grab 2 Kaijus and put one into your hand and one into your drop zone. So that's very nice. You have 4 of it, so good. Your ride line already searches for 2 Kenkyu's researches, so that's nice, right? You can get at least 2 of them, and then you can hard mulligan it into another research. And then I also threw in 2 of these research orders, because this one is not, you don't require an Ava name or anything like that. It's just a draw 1, discard 1, and then you can kind of just bind a card as well when you have a lot of researches too. So I think this is not bad. You don't have to run too many researches. You can hard mulligan for any one of these, right? And I think it'll just work. And then these come out at like grade 1 as well. So by the time you hit grade 3, you should have 3, right? I forgot to kind of talk about the first effect of Arkhite, and that's just the when the Kaiju is called onto the field, you can just put a Kaiju with the same name that orders into one deck, and they get 10k. So that gives extra power. And then you have the other bunch of Kaijus here that will all get different powers as well. So this guy, you know, come into play, counterblast 1. If your order zone is 3 or more, well, no, Counterblast 1, and you can retire one of your opponent's rear guards that has equal to less than the number of research orders in your order zone, and then one attack gets 5k if you have three research orders, pretty much. So there's a bunch of these different effects. Even Bobble Mine is a kaiju. Very, very nice. Very nice. But yeah, that's pretty much the deck. And then lastly, we have the updated Ava list. This one is... I'm not a huge fan of the new Obfuscate, I'm not gonna lie, but he is an Obfuscate, so it is what it is, right? With this list, we cut one of these old research orders for the new one, just because this one is pretty good, right? When it comes into play, look at the top 5 and grab a card according to the regard circle, right? And then you can rest 3 research orders to give one of your units like 5, right? So very, very cool, right? One of your glitter unit, very, very cool, right? So it pretty much is giving it to this guy or this guy, right? All of them is decent defense. All of them is decent defense, and then I'm still running 1 Combine Rusher just because, you know, in case of emergencies, you can combine and rush, right? Because there's more Obfuscates as well, kind of just cut down on one of this Goblin dude to put back cards, because you don't need to put them back as much because you have more copies. But I still run 2 because it's very important to put back cards. So yeah, that's kind of the big differences. There probably will be some changes, right? Because you have more options now. This deck is all about options. So I'm sure people will be testing to see the optimal numbers for each deck. But that is it for everything. That is all the lists. All the lists are in the descriptions below using a Japanese deck code. So make sure you use the Japanese one. Of course, I went through them pretty quickly. But yeah, lots of decks. That's how it is. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. These decks will be improved on in the future. And I'll see you all next time. All right? Bye.